The views and opinions expressed in Cold and Missing are exclusively those of the hosts. All parties mentioned are considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Cold and Missing also contains adult themes and languages. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm your host, Allie McLaughlin-Solkowski.
And I'm your co-host, Eli Solkowski.
And this is Cold and Missing, where we cover cold cases
and missing person cases.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cold and Missing. I'm your host, Allie, and it will just be me coming to you this week. Eli has some exciting audition opportunities, so he has to spend a lot of his free time focusing on some of his other work this week, but he will join us again in the future, I'm sure. But I wanted to get back on the podcast, get back into covering cases. We were off last week. It was Thanksgiving here in the US of A, so we took the week off, had a lot of really great family moments, just got to do like the whole Thanksgiving thing. So I really appreciate everyone for granting us the week off, the week vacation, but here I am ready to bring you a new case. So let's just go ahead and get into it. This is episode 111. And just as a bit of a content warning at the top, this case does involve a young person. Today, we are talking about the missing person case of SOfia Juarez, and this takes place in February of 2003 in Kennewick, Washington. But first, a little bit about SOfia. SOfia is a vivacious and spunky 4-year-old, but she is on the cusp of turning 5. She loves to put on makeup and play with her Barbie dolls. She often begs to go to Burger King for her favorite food, a hamburger. SOfia is her mother's only child. Maria, SOfia's mom, had SOfia young, and at this time in 2003, SOfia's mom is only 20 years old. SOfia and Maria live with SOfia's grandmother and with her boyfriend, who acted like a grandpa to SOfia, along with SOfia's uncles. But some of her uncles were young enough to be more like her brother or friend. The entire family lived in a cozy home on the 100 block of East 15th Avenue. The neighborhood is quiet and safe. Kids walk to school and will leave toys out in the front lawn overnight so that way they're ready to play with in the morning. SOfia is Hispanic. At this time in 2003, she's about 3 feet tall, weighs 33 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. She was also missing her top 4 front teeth. And now, a timeline of events. On Tuesday, February 4th, 2003. It is the night before SOfia's 5th birthday. At about 7:45 p.m., she's playing with her uncle. Her uncle is 10 years old, so like I mentioned earlier, he was more like a brother or a friend. The two are hanging out watching TV in SOfia's room. SOfia is wearing blue overalls, a red long-sleeve shirt, violet socks, and white Converse shoes. She also had in small gold hoop earrings. Jose, her grandmother's boyfriend who acted like a grandpa to her, was going to fill up his car with gas and then head to the Red Apple Market to get some milk. When SOfia heard, she begged her mom to go with. It was normal for Jose to take the kids with him to the store, and SOfia was especially good at talking him into buying her some candy. Maria gives SOfia permission to go with Jose and even gives her $1 to buy a piece of candy. Jose leaves the house around 8 p.m. Jose stops to get gas, attempted to call family in Mexico from a payphone, and then went to the Red Apple Market to buy milk. While Jose is at the store, SOfia's grandmother comes back from running errands and picking up her other kids, and she asks where SOfia is. Maria tells her that she went to the store with Jose. Jose returns to the family home around 9 p.m. with a gallon of milk. When Maria asks where SOfia is, he said she never got in the car with him. He had no idea SOfia was supposed to be going with him to the store, so he left without her. The family begins searching the home for the little girl, searching in any spot where she would fit. But after 20 minutes with no sign of the girl, no matter how many times they called her name, the family decides at 9:20 to call police and report her missing. Police responding to the scene take her disappearance seriously from the beginning. They take Jose down to the police station for questioning, and he goes without complaint. Police left at the family home begin searching for the little girl, both around the house and around the neighborhood. Police bring in bloodhounds who are able to pick up a scent. The dog handler says, quote, "We weren't able to find anything, but both dogs were able to tell where the trail apparently ended," end quote. The spot where the trail ended was along a fence some distance from Sofia's home. Police search through the night, but as dawn approaches in the early morning hours of Wednesday, February 5th, which should have been Sofia's 5th birthday, police regroup to come up with a plan. It's decided that they'll issue the first Amber Alert for the state of Washington. At 8:30 a.m., police send out an Amber Alert, which was a brand new system in the state of Washington at the time. Sofia's case is the first time it's used. Unfortunately, there were issues in the system that had not yet been worked out. The code that was sent to radio and television stations was the code used for floods, earthquakes, and other natural emergencies. No one who received the alert really knew what was going on, and the news about Sofia was slow to get out to the media. Other officers are trying to track down Sofia's biological father. He had never been in her life and told Maria, when she found out she was pregnant with Sofia, that he didn't want her to go through with the pregnancy. He threatened to hurt her if she kept the baby. Police are eventually able to locate him, and after some questioning and investigating, they are able to rule him out. Night falls on Sofia's 5th birthday without any sign of her. Police are checking every nook and cranny that Sofia could squeeze into, but still nothing. The temperatures drop to the mid-20s at nightfall. Police officially suspend the search for volunteers with a plan to start at 7 a.m. the next morning. Despite the search being suspended, several officers stay out looking through the night, and more local, state, and national police agencies are called in to help look for the little girl. In the second day of Sofia missing, Thursday, February 6th, the search resumes early the next morning. One of the searchers, Jody Norman, says, quote, "We've looked everywhere. We've searched over fences, every backyard, garbage cans, crawl spaces, but we need to find her, to get her home." End quote. During the day, police do collect something as evidence that was found under a bush near the elementary school, but police stress that they don't have anything of importance. However, as the day wears on, the search is scaled back in the area surrounding the home. On Friday, February 7th, Sofia has been missing since Tuesday night. Sofia's family make an emotional plea for her safe return. Her mother, Maria, says, quote, "I beg you please to return Sofia to her family. We really miss her. Whoever has my daughter, please return her to her mother." End quote. Sofia's 10-year-old uncle tries to speak to the crowd. He only got out the words, quote, "We're missing," before breaking down into sobs. Police still have no suspects in her disappearance, but they have ruled out her family. Police say, quote, "We are here in support of the family and to help support them through this very, very difficult time, this nightmare for any mother and any family. No one in this family is suspected of any wrongdoing or doing anything wrong at all in relation to this missing child." End quote. It should be noted here that Jose is also cleared by police and is included as part of the family in this statement by police. Police begin refocusing their attention on running down all of the tips that have come in now that her family has been ruled out as suspects. Police set up a special phone line for tips that will be manned 24 hours a day. On Monday, February 10th, it's approaching 1 week that Sofia has been missing. Police announced that they're looking for the driver of a van that was seen at Washington Street and 14th Avenue around the time that Sofia disappeared. The van is described as a light blue or silver, mid-'80s model, and the van was a panel van with no windows along the body. Police say that they just want to talk to the driver, quote, "It may or may not be connected. Any help in locating the vehicle will be appreciated," end quote. On Tuesday, February 11th, Sofia has been missing for 1 week now, and police re-interviewed her uncle, who again is 10 years old. And this time he says that he saw Sofia walking down the driveway from the home with a man wearing a black sweatshirt with a hood, black pants, and black shoes. He hadn't told police initially because he had been afraid. On Thursday, February 13th, Sofia has been missing for 9 days. Police go back to Sofia's neighborhood and go door to door and ask their neighbors to look again. police are really going over areas that they've already searched, just looking for any sign of Sophia that could have been missed. But at the end of the day, police are frustrated to report that there's still no sign of her. Police begin searching the Columbia River, and they spend the next several days dragging the river and bringing in dive teams looking for any trace of the little girl. But again, nothing is found. In mid-March of 2003, so Sophia has been missing for 5 weeks, Sophia's mom and grandmother plan to travel to Mexico to see if anyone there has information about Sophia. Police doubt that Sophia is there, saying, quote, "We don't have anything to suggest that Sophia's in Mexico," end quote. In mid-May, Sophia has been missing for 3 months. Police say that they have new information, that an orange van driven by a bearded man was seen in the neighborhood about the time Sophia vanished. Police are looking for the driver and the owner of the van. This van is described as a mid-1990s full-size van that was faded orange and had no side windows. The van had a Washington license plate that included the letters JJ. The man is described to be about 35 to 40 years old with a thick blonde beard. In August of 2003, Sophia has been missing for 6 months. Sophia's mother, Maria, sits down with the local paper and says that she believes that Sophia's disappearance is connected to a family member in Mexico, not a stranger or a neighbor. Maria believes that Sophia is alive and well, but living in Mexico, which is why her and her mother want to travel there to look for her. Police are still hesitant to call Sophia's case an abduction since they don't have any evidence of a crime taking place. But by February of 2004, at the 1-year mark, police say that they are treating the disappearance as an abduction by a stranger, but they still have no real idea of what happened to Sophia. Her family misses her deeply. Her mother, Maria, says, quote, "Every day is hard. It's just not the same. She put a glow in the house. We don't know who took her or why. We know in our hearts that she is out there," end quote. In July of 2005, Sophia has been missing for 2.5 years. Police serve a search warrant at a rundown farm. Volunteers bring in ground-penetrating radar to go over the grounds to see if there's any disturbances that could suggest a body. Police take days searching the property. They bring in a backhoe to search any suspect spots. Police believe that she could be buried at the property. Ultimately, after days of searching, no human remains are found at the farm and no sign of Sophia is found there. During the course of Sophia's investigation, police often get the tip that Sophia is buried in Jump Off Joe Butte on the Horse Heaven Hills. The story being that she was hit by a driver who panicked and thought Sophia was dead. The driver takes her body, and when she later begins to wake up, he panics and then actually kills her. He then buries her body off of Jump Off Joe Butte. In fact, the search of the farm is related to a tip about this urban legend, but police have never been able to find any connection to Sophia and these multiple stories about Jump Off Joe Butte. In January of 2009, it's been almost 3 years that Sophia has been missing, and her mother, Maria, passes away. Maria was only 26 years old when she passed, and the family decides to spread her ashes where Sophia was last seen. In May of 2021, so Sophia has been missing for over 18 years. Please give us some new information. The following comes from the police website directly about a witness back in 2003. It says, "The witness observed the person, described in detail below, approaching the young female and lead her away towards a van that was occupied and stopped at the next side street. Sophia cried as the person left. The adult witness reported the incident to police the next day, immediately after seeing media accounts of Sophia's disappearance. After viewing a photograph of Sophia, the witness confirmed the young female was Sophia. Police determined the witness to be highly credible. Police kept the suspect description confidential at the time due to active investigations being conducted on people of interest. A description of the van was released at the time, resulting in 24 tips reported to police. Police currently believe the van and its occupants may be associated with the suspect who led Sophia away. Police obviously have a high degree of interest in the suspect and the suspect van. Anybody who has information on a person and van seen in the area of South Washington Street near East 15th Avenue between 8 p.m. and 9:15 p.m. on February 4th, 2003, is asked to contact the police. Police are also seeking information from the public on anybody who may have operated a similar type of van and either lived nearby, would have passed through the area at that time, or driven by as any part of the regular route or routine. Police are interested in any information people may have, regardless of how minimal it may be. Somebody out there knows what happened to SOfia, or at least have suspicions about someone that may have been involved. Now is the time to come forward and help bring answer to SOfia's family and our community. The suspect description, as provided by the witness, is as follows. A Hispanic juvenile male, estimated to be 11 to 14 years old at the time. At the time of occurrence, described as being light complexioned, about 5 foot or 5'2", believed to be chubby based primarily upon facial features, having a baby face with a possible mark on a cheek. Dark, short, wavy hair that was about 1.5 inches long that appeared greased that lay flat with bangs, and possibly having big hands for a person his age. The suspect vehicle is light blue or silver or gray, older 1970s to early 1980s type full-bodied panel van with no visible side windows. Had appearances of possibly being a work type of van, the type that contractors or painters may have used. This is not to imply that it would have been a contractor or painter's van. So that is all from the police website directly. In addition, in 2021, a TikTok video surfaces of a woman that bears a striking resemblance to SOfia's age-progressed photo, and she says that she's a kidnap victim. Police do track her down and get her DNA, but ultimately she's ruled out that she is not SOfia. And then the last update I could find came in November of 2024. And really the update was just that there are no new updates. Police work every tip that comes in, especially since they released that new information in 2021, but none of those have led to SOfia. And that is all we know about the missing person case of SOfia Juarez. So if you know anything about the disappearance of SOfia Juarez or her whereabouts today, please call Special Investigator Al Wehner at 509-582-1331. Or if you want to leave a tip online, you can do that with a link that will be in our show notes. So that is the case of SOfia Juarez. And this case is one that I saw kind of floating around my social media in 2021. You know, I had mentioned right there at the end of the timeline about that TikTok that got a lot of news and a lot of traction on social media. That's what I really saw happening, and that's when I first really learned about SOfia's case. It does seem like SOfia's case at the time did get some national coverage and national attention, but it was covered very heavily locally. So it did get to like America's Most Wanted and get some coverage on like big daytime talk shows, but extensively it was covered in the Washington area. And it was just a case that I did not know a lot about. So it was something that I really wanted to dig into. And overwhelmingly, what I feel in this case is just tragedy. Like, when I think about the events leading up to her going missing, like the timing of everything, it just seems like so deeply unfortunate that, you know, the night before her 5th birthday, she hears an adult going to the store, wants to go along, wants to go for a ride, an adventure, get a little piece of candy. And so she asks, but like the adult going to the store didn't know, like, to wait up, that she wanted to come along, that, you know, he should wait for her to get in the car. So leaves. And then it seems like, based off of everything I read, that SOfia gets, you know, money from her mom and permission to go, and then kind of runs out the door to what everybody assumes is the car to go to the store. But then she's just kind of out at the driveway. And, you know, my heart breaks just like wondering what her next steps were, which brings in a lot of the questions in this case. So her uncle does mention back in 2003, he does say it like about a week later, but he says he sees somebody like leading her down the driveway dressed in all black. And That was only really mentioned like one time, kind of briefly. But then in 2021, we get this other witness description of seeing Sophia being led away, kind of by what her uncle said, like, somebody leading her away. She's crying and this other person is laughing. And this witness, police felt, was very credible. That just like makes me really question, like, was something always planned for this evening and this was just like a moment of opportunity? Because it sounded like there was a van waiting with somebody else in the van, that this young adolescent, 11 to 14 is how he's described, leads Sophia to there. So like, was this all planned to take place that night, or was this just like a crime of opportunity and like just these people were driving around like looking for something? It brings up so many questions for me about like, how could this have happened? Like, was this some plan or just some opportunity that was taken? Like, how did this happen? Because this should have just been like a simple mistake of like, oh, he left without Sophia. So she goes back inside, disappointed she didn't get to go to the store, but all's like, it should not have ended this way with her going missing. So how did this get here? It really boggles my mind in this case. And also just the snafu with the Amber Alert, Sophia's case being the first Amber Alert ever issued in Washington. So the system had some issues and the notice didn't go out as like a missing child. It went out as like a natural disaster. But because of that delay, there was delay getting Sophia's story out there, which kind of delayed this witness. This witness didn't know that they had seen anything of like utmost importance until the next day when they see that the girl they saw went missing. So it's like, if they had gotten that information sooner from the witness, could anything have changed? Would anything have changed? Like, it just makes you wonder. And why not give the description at the time? In 2021, giving the description of the person seen leading Sophia away, like, that person was described between 11 and 14. So today they would be in their 30s, likely, their mid 30s. So it just makes me wonder if, we got the description of the van early in 2003, but if we had maybe gotten that description of the suspect as well, if more information could have come forward at that time. It sounds like they did get some tips surrounding the vans, but, if they're still searching for whoever owned one in 2021, like, I don't think they've ever pinpointed exactly who was driving the van that night that Sophia disappeared. And then there was also the orange van that they briefly brought up a few months after her disappearance, and the man with the blonde beard. If I could get answers to whatever I wanted, I would just want to know what happened with that. Was that ultimately ruled out? Yeah, I would just be really curious about the orange van that was mentioned, because we have the blue, silver, or gray van, the mid-70s panel van. But then there was also that faded orange one mentioned. So I would just be curious what ended up happening there. It was also so heartbreaking to learn that Sophia's mom, Maria, also died very young and never got answers, which is like heartbreaking. The family deciding to spread her ashes in like the spot that Sophia was last seen, like how deeply she must have missed her daughter. I can't even begin to imagine how deeply she must have missed her every single day. But, Sophia's uncles were young at the time in 2003, so they're still around. They're still looking for answers in this case. I really hope that we're able to get answers for her family in what happened to her, and that she's able to come home one way or the other, that she's able to come home and her family will know where she is. Of course, we always want to see the miracle happen and for her to come home, alive and well. But if that can't happen, then having the answers of what happened to this little girl and somebody answering for what happened to this little girl, we should have those answers. The family deserves those answers the community deserves those answers, and SOfia deserves those answers. So I do hope we're able to get that. And, this case is worked a lot, and I think police are going to keep at it. Investigators are going to keep at it. The fact that I saw, the police website updated as of November 2024, even though it wasn't anything new, it just kind of shows that they're thinking about it and working on it behind the scenes. So I am hopeful that eventually we'll see something in this case and get some answers. But again, if you know anything about the disappearance of SOfia Juarez or her whereabouts today, please call the special investigator, Al Wehner, at 509-582-1331. And we'll also have a link to where you can leave a tip online as well in our show notes. On our Instagram at Cold and Missing, we're going to have pictures of SOfia as well as an age progressed photo. Her age progressed photo is her at 17, but in February of this year, we're going to be coming up on a big anniversary of SOfia being missing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some new age progressions of her coming in the next few months, since we haven't gotten any since 2015. But we will have what is available on our Instagram at Cold and Missing. And please, if you're not following us there, we've been getting lots of followers. So thank you everybody for joining us. We try to post active missing person cases happening in real time, just informational flyers in our stories, try to keep up to date. And if there's ever any reason that we need to take a break from the podcast or we won't be able to get an episode out, we always update the Instagram to let you know what's happening. Thank you so much to everyone who's rated and reviewed. We've had so many people reach out and let us know that they're loving the podcast, that they're rating it, that they're reviewing it. We're seeing that all come in. So thank you so much. It is overwhelming, the positivity and the kindness, but thank you so much for being here, for listening, for telling your friends, family, whoever about the podcast. That's worth its weight in gold. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it as the creator of the podcast, but also for all these stories that we're telling, all these cases, more people should know about them. So thank you for doing that advocacy work. And then on our website, www.coldandmissing.com, we have all our episodes. You can rate, review us there as well. And if you need transcripts, because you or someone you love is hard of hearing, you can find all our transcripts on our website as well. But thank you again so much for listening to Cold and Missing. I'm your host, Allie. Have a good week and stay safe, y'all.